just came out and dominated. It was the big man really pounding the little man from behind.
Disappointing effort in a lot of ways, but sometimes in this game you just have to get away with the W.
We're headed in the right direction, and it was a great kickoff this season.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hammer and the Nail, the engineering class recap show. I'm here with none other. First off, I'm Yosef Nasser, here with none other than Nick Merlin Rogowski. And Nick, why don't you give the people, this is unusual. We haven't done anything like that. Give the people just 15 seconds of what your vision is for this show, how it kind of came about.
Yeah, I mean, me and Yost kind of have a weekly recap, it seems like, over the phone. Some insight onto what just happened and what's going to happen. So
before we get started, you obviously have the girl dad hat on. I'm wondering, first fantasy week as a father, what was that like for you?
It was emotional. It was real emotional. Having her there, watching the game, watching dad work. It was something that I was looking forward to, and I think Sevi Cordova can probably attest to it. My fellow girl dad. It's a lucky thing. It's something that you dream of as a little kid. Having your kids come to work with you, and it was great.
Well, you made her proud this week. The big rivalry on the gridiron, the tennis court gridiron. UNMB. He had a great performance. The fact that you were able to come out on top in a high scoring matchup like that has to feel pretty good, huh?
Yeah. Going back to opening week of, my fantasy debut, I took it to Nahom. So I think in the 10 years that I've been in the league, I think this is my third time winning an opening weekend. And, it feels good that I was in the home, on the gridiron. The home's kind of like the Matt Saracen, and I'm the Jason Street, and I showed that in fantasy too. So yeah, it felt good.
So I think what we want to do here, because nobody cares just to hear us talk about our fantasy teams, I think we want to go from highest point score to lowest point scores, and we start 139 points, the highest score of the week. Jacob Bennett. Bennett obviously played Sevi. Sevi looked like, early in the week with Stephon Diggs that he could make this a close matchup, but Jacob blew him out of the water 139 to 106. When you look at Jacob's team, I mean, you could make a case this is the best team in the league.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Big bad Bennett, Jacob Bennett, left tackle, Old Bridge Elementary School. I mean, he's good. He's got a good team. It seems like Bennett's kind of been there in years past, and his team's kind of shaken out to be kind of Jekyll and Hyde. So I'm not surprised that he put up 139. I think he's very capable of doing that. A little surprised in Sevi, but I think Sevi's due for a down year. So I'm definitely excited for that, having him in my division.
And the big key for Bennett here, the way I look at it, you've got some certified studs, Ja'Marr Chase. DeAndre Swift is going to be a guy who, I think you had him last year, right, Rogo? Did you have DeAndre Swift last year?
I did, and he was a fucking bum.
Well, this year he was not a fucking bum. He ripped up the Eagles, shredded them, 175 all-purpose yards. And if he's going to do that, getting the kind of volume he is, he's going to be a real RB1. Kareem Hunt, the RB4 after 1 week, you can say a little bit fluky with the 2 touchdowns, but getting a late round running back like that. And then you say, okay, Ja'Marr Chase, Jalen Waddle, Kyle Pitts, he's not going to have as bad as a game as he had in week 1. And then Jalen Hurts to kind of round it all out. This is a very dangerous team, in my opinion. One of the teams, I'm in the North, obviously, you're in the South. One of the teams I've got my eye on in the North. Moving on to the second highest scoring team in the league. And it's not Merlin's coffee table. It's close. It's Frank in a big matchup against Tony. These guys go back and forth talking their shit.
So I think that mixed with the fact that neither of them in 11 years or 12 years have never been to the championship, I think the case is strong, and I don't know why we consistently talk about it.
But Frank was able to get the W on this one, winning by 39 points. For me, Rogo, the story of the game was Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen probably going to be the MVP this year. And, really this matchup only comes down to one thing, and that's height. Tony came up short, and Frank, he was the bigger man. So I think the writing was written on the wall before this matchup even took place this weekend. And he's actually playing me. Me and Frank are matching up together this week. So I think it's going to be a dogfight. So Red Raider sent Frank Buckley right over. So we'll see how that goes. And I think he could have some downtime, but when it comes to the playoffs, he could be, depending on the week matchup, he could be in the mix.
It's a perfect segue because you're the third highest point scorer in week 1, and this game is the game of the week. You and Frank, obviously that Mahomes-Kelsey combo was lethal. But I'm more curious, Rogo, how you feel about the rest of your roster. Do you feel like you have the supporting cast to support that combination that has a chance to be a staple for you? I mean, the highest point scorer in the South. I mean, this is a strong position for you. Can you sustain it?
The only area I'm really worried about is RB2, but right now it looks like Michael Carter is going to be a decent point getter out there in New York until Breece Hall kind of proves his worth. But no, I think this might be the most solid lineup I've had. So as long as Mahomes doesn't go down with an injury, I think I should have a pretty good chance at the South. So anybody who wants a piece of this, come get it. Nick Rogowski, quarterback, the Catholic University of America. We highlighted the top 3-point players there. I want to come down to the basement.
Okay, well, listen. I like it, and I think it's fitting because some of the guys in the basement, and we go to the bottom floor, are guys who we thought would be top contending teams. Kyle with a 74 point performance. He had the combination of McCaffrey and Kamara, and everybody thought, hey, this is the best running back. That's the best running back duo in engineering, and it didn't come to pass. What's your reaction to Kyle and his performance?
Well, first off, I want to go Kyle Tooney, wide receiver, Juilliard. But no, I think ESPN had him ranked number 1 after the draft, and his lineup is stout. Everybody kind of had a little question mark hanging over Christian McCaffrey there, but I think it might have been a little fluky. We'll see if he can bounce back. It's not like Drew put out an outstanding performance, but he grinded one out and got a dub. That's kind of what the doctor does. So. Yeah, Kyle, it's I don't want to say it's must win because it's only week 2, but an 0-2 hole is going to be tough to come out of.
Big spot for Kyle this week upcoming against Blocker. What team do you want to hit next as we kind of work our way from the basement upwards?
Yeah, I think we all knew that Quinn Bonta has maybe the worst fantasy football team since Colin Woods was in the league. So he's going to have to start brewing some pints over there in Dublin because it's going to be a long season for him.
Let's go through that mid-tier, right? So we've got B. Worth, we've got the Big Yos, we've got Blocker, Drew, and then MB, obviously the highest scoring loser of the week, and Sevi as well. What do you see in that middle class of the league?
Honestly, I'm gonna give a little shout out to Brian Worth. Kind of a sneaky little lineup there. I think it looks pretty good. I like the tight end play there with Freiermuth. I think he could be decent since Trubisky can't throw the ball further than 10 yards. I think there's gonna be a lot of checkdowns to the tight end area there. I think he's got a sneaky team. The only thing that we're kind of looking at there is Cam Akers. I think that was the biggest surprise of week 1, in my opinion. So he might have a hole there, but if we take a look at Sevi, I think he should feel okay about his team.
What?
I like it.
You like Sevi's team? What do you like about it? What's there to like?
I like the fact that it's not Tony's team. I like Patterson. I like Juju. I think Juju had nine targets, and if he had caught all of them, he would have had a huge day. I mean, you can only throw to Kelsey so much. So I like Juju. I have him in my other league. And then you got, obviously Big Dick Justin Tucker there kicking his way into the Hall of Fame. So, yeah.
So I want to touch on a few things you said. You mentioned Brian, you mentioned Sevi, and you mentioned Tony. So first, starting with Brian, absolutely spot on. The only hole really on that roster is Cam Akers. You know, he's really unplayable as a starter. He's kind of one of those wait and see bench stashes, and I don't know if Brian has the confidence in Chase Edmonds to plug him in, but that's really the question mark. But coming into the season, we thought Ryan Tannehill would be the question mark, but he's able to put up a productive 22-point game. And then those receivers, absolutely fearsome. Michael Pittman, up where you're at in Indy, phenomenal. Michael Thomas, after being out for much of 2 years, kind of resurfaced and scored those 2 touchdowns. And then I had a chance to see Amon-Ra St. Brown in person.
5 touchdowns past 5 games for you dating back to last season. What do you feel like the connection with you and Goff, like how do you feel like that's developed over the course of the offseason and then dating back to last year to have that success?
Yeah, I think me and Jared and even all the receivers having that year under our belt really helps a lot.
12 targets. I mean, kind of picking up where he left off last season. The one question about the team is a little bit of depth, but I mean, I think those receivers, Austin Eckler as the RB1, and if Tannehill, if he can get some solid quarterback play from that spot, I think that's a big deal. For the Cordova brothers, let's start with Sevi. I think that Cordell Patterson performing the way he did is big. I just don't trust Breece Hall as the RB2 at this point. It's just really tough to see him performing. And, I'm looking at his projected lineup going into next week. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, who he took early, he's got him on the bench. He took him second round. He's got him on the bench. I just see kind of a mediocre team with not many pathways to upside on the bench. As for Tony, it was probably as brutal of a week as you can have from an injury standpoint. Obviously, the week was over before it began with Josh Allen outscoring Matt Stafford by 27 points or whatever it ended up being. Najee Harris went out late in the Steelers game with an injury. Chris Godwin left with an injury. Kadarius Toney wasn't a starter, but he was a guy who basically ran as the 5th or 6th wide receiver on the Giants. So it's going to be interesting. Tony's got a great track record of winning in this league. Javonte was tremendous. Deontay Johnson had some highlight plays. I think that there's enough here to kind of work his way back into the North where he's been, top of the North where he's been. But a tough first week for him to build back from.
Sadly for Tony, I think the little leprechaun luck has run out in his fantasy days here, especially this year with a tough North division. Those injuries are tough, nothing crazy, but if we take a look at that lineup, it's bad. I think we can put Tony's team right up there with Quinn, and hopefully they can share a pint together.
This feels like you're fucking trolling, but I'll leave it there. We're gonna close out. We're gonna go through all of next week's matchups. Give the projected scores and give our picks, and maybe we'll keep track of the picks and see how well we do. So first matchup, me versus Driscoll. Gut reaction, who wins that one? I'm at 1-0. Driscoll's at 0-1. I'm projected for 116. He's projected for 114. I'm taking myself. Who are you going, Roga?
I'm going with the commish there.
Okay, I love it. Next matchup, we talked about Brian. He's projected for a 102. I think Cam Akers a big factor, dragging that ranking down versus Tony. Sneakily a must-win matchup for Tony. Not a must-win, but a very important win. You don't want to go down 0-2 in a tough division where you've got guys like Bennett, where you've got guys like Frank, Brian, myself. What's your prediction for that matchup?
I think I'm definitely going to eat my words on this one. I like Tony.
Wait, you're going to eat your word? You like Tony in that matchup?
I do.
You just spent the past 5 minutes shitting on him. You think he's actually going to win this one?
I just think the Cam Akers thing is going to be a big hole when we talked about how Brian doesn't have too much depth in his lineup. So it's going to be interesting to see who he plugs and plays there. But I just think me talking shit about Tony is just going to come right around. He's going to get a W.
Okay, so it's the karma play, and you know what? I think from an X's and O's standpoint, Javonte has a great matchup against Houston. Matt Stafford has a get right game against Atlanta. I think that I tend to agree. I think that Tony, as imposing as Brian's lineup is, I think that RB2 spot is a problem. I'm going Tony as well. So we're on board with the first 2 games. Bennett and Raymond, I'm going Bennett. This isn't very close for me.
Yeah. I think if DeAndre Swift and Jamar Chase kind of, maintain what they did last weekend, I think it's going to be definitely in favor there. I think Jalen Hurts might have some issues up there in Minnesota, but yeah, I like his team a lot, especially Rashad Penny. I like Rashad Penny a lot. Yeah, I'm taking Bennett.
Okay, the factory. Frank Buckley going against Merlin's Coffee Table. We teased this matchup earlier. I look at this game, I think your lineup is a little bit more complete, and the real X factor is that Thursday night game. If that's a shootout, I think it's going to be over pretty early. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce against the Chargers. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, I like Frank's team. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a fucking a dandy. I think the final score may be within 5 points. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling myself this year. And like you said, if Mahomes can, keep it going, which I think he can. I think he's right up there with Josh Allen being an MVP candidate. And like I said, taking that playbook out of Drew's book there, I'm liking where my team's at right now.
The Quinn against Nahom. Nahom, obviously, we touched on that a little bit earlier. I think he's got an outstanding team. You look at Saquon Barkley, where he got him, absolute steal. If we did a draft today, he'd probably be a top 5 pick with how good he looked. And then Justin Jefferson absolutely going berserk. People questioned the pick at 4. Darrell Henderson was a real big late round running back, obviously capitalizing on the Cam Akers situation. The big question with Nahom, health. I mean, Dak Prescott out for potentially 8 weeks. George Kittle seems like he's week to week, but I feel like his team is too good. I think he's going to be able to find a quarterback and put away Quinn easily. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I think he could probably even leave the quarterback slot, open. I think Mahomes kind of got a 2-man band over there, but sometimes all you need is a guitar and a good voice. So I'm definitely going Nahom here.
Big game for Nahom. Obviously, both teams 0-1. He's got to take care of business here if he's going to hang in the South. 2 more games to get to. KY Jelly, Kyle Toomey against Big Blocker Brand. Who are we going with here? Rogo.
I'm going Anthony Blocker, linebacker, the Academy of Fire. I'm going blocks here.
So, okay, maybe I'm forcing a disagreement here, but I genuinely feel like Kyle had a bad week, the week from hell, in terms of, his players not performing. I'm going Tom Brady. I'm going McCaffrey. I'm going Kamara. That's going to be our first disagreement, Rogo. I'm going with Kyle Toomey. Final matchup of the week. 2 great rivals in the South, 2 of the storied members of the South. Sevi Cordova and Dr. Drew. Now, Dr. Drew, an underwhelming week 1, but he was still able to get the win against Kyle. Is he topping Sevi? I say yes. What say you?
I think it's going to be real good. It's going to be a really good matchup. I think the X factor for Drew on this one is Derek Carr at Arizona. I think that could be a shootout. 2 good quarterbacks in that matchup. Derrick Henry kind of got tossed around a little bit. I don't know if you saw that game, but big boy got his eggs scrambled a couple of times there by that Giants D. I'm going Sevi.
Okay, so we agree on 5. We disagree on 2. That's going to do it for our engineering class recap and preview show. Calling it the Hammer and the Nail tentatively. If you've got a better name, let us know. Rogo, appreciate the time. Final message for the people as we head into week 2.
Miss all you guys, love all you guys. Have a great week, and I hope everybody loses except me this week.
Hail FC.